Today we are going to look in our second folder inside the Chapter 8-10 Arrays, Pointers, and Data Structures folder, and it's going to deal with functions and arrays. So modularizing code is an important thing to do in programming, and we are going to learn how to pass an array as a parameter in a function. So first of all, there is an Introduction to Pointers video, and I would recommend that you watch that. I believe that's posted on my YouTube. If some of those links happen to be broken, please let me know as soon as possible. And so, although we treat array elements as we do variables, you can send in an array that references a subscript of the element to a function just as you did with a regular variable. And as the program below illustrates, line 14 is the function call. The function is expecting an integer. So if we take a look at this, we want to study this code. This is our prototype line. So it's a void method, so it's not going to return anything. The name of the method is showValue, and an integer parameter is accepted. In this particular example, this this array is declared with a constant size of 8, and it has an initialization list. And then please notice how they use the size variable for the constant in the for loop, and you use less than the size so you don't get an out of bounds error. And then it sends in the value of the index, numbers bracket index. It sends in the value of the array using the bracket notation. So it's going to go index 0 is going to be 5, index 1 will be 10, index 15 will be index 2 will be 15, etc. So when it says show value, it's sending an integer value into our show value, and all it does is outputs a value. Now, oftentimes though, we want to, instead of passing in one number at a time, it might be more useful to send the whole entire array. So to send a whole entire array, you have to change your prototype line, and you have to change the parameter list that is accepted by the method. So let's change this. We're going to now write the method to be show values, and the first argument is going to be an integer array. In order to indicate that it's an array, we use the bracket notation. So int is a data type, nums is the local variable of the array used only in this method. Nums does not exist outside this method. And we need to send in the size. Please notice that it's not a constant, so we're going to use a lowercase naming convention. And then we're going to output nums bracket index. And so instead of passing in a single number to be printed, we just send the whole entire array and then print it within the method. Now, one thing that was not indicated here is how you would need to change your prototype line. I would have to go back up here, and my prototype line would have to have two arguments. It would be int bracket, comma, int. If we take a look, here it shows that prototype line in the next example, int bracket, comma, int. Prototypes are only showing the data types, and so this is an integer array and then an integer argument. So that whole entire program shows the basics of sending in or passing an array to a function. When you pass an array by a pointer, you are able to modify the array. If you modify the array within a function, it will be modified in the calling function. What that amounts to is that all arrays are passed by what we call reference. So you're actually sending the name address of where the array is stored. So when you send it the array, you are not copying the whole entire array. You're just pointing, thus pointer, you're pointing to where the array location is saved, and then it accesses the original data. So if we were to run this code, show values, triple values, show values, I don't know if there's an execution of what that code does, but in main, if I show the values after I triple the values, what it's intending to show here is before we triple the values, we're going to print 5, 10, 15, etc. And then we're going to call an array, and notice we're not using the ampersand to show pass by reference, and that's because arrays are automatically passed by reference. I change every array value to be tripled. So it will be 15, 10 times 3 is 30, 15 times 3 is 45, 20 times 3 is 60, etc., it will change the original value of the arrays back in main. So when we run show values numbers again with array size, then it's going to show a changed data. So that's indicating arrays are always passed by reference. You can pass an array as a constant using the const in front of the name of the array, and then you cannot change the original values. So that makes it so that you are basically not able to alter the array data. So if you want to protect that data, you want to pass it with a constant in front of the declaration here. You would also have to change that in the prototype line. You will have the next assignment will be a functions and an array algorithms assignment. You're going to write a program, and it will, well, I'm going to actually describe just that assignment in a separate video. So that's it for this video. Your next assignment will be to write a program using arrays and writing several methods using these algorithms.